The following video may contain sensitive topics. The views and opinions of the presenter to these are plainly his own. Furthermore, any and all views and opinions of the presenter do not in any way reflect the views, opinions, statements, and advocacies of his personal contacts, his family, his affiliations, and his profession. While the presenter makes a commitment that all content is original, he is obliged to cite references or acknowledge resources mentioned or used in the production of this video. This disclaimer is also written in the description below. We all know this is a very hard time for all of us. We can't do anything outside our homes, and we will eventually be left with nothing to do should this quarantine period, at least in where I am, is extended a third time. But before we start, I would just like to let you know that this topic may disturb or trigger some and may depress others. If so, I would give you the freedom to skip this video or continue at your own risk. Walang pilitan. I just have to air this out because many might also have the same thought and idea but are too scared to share it. That's why I'm here to do so, to tell all of you that it's okay not to be okay, and that we will weather this storm together. Hi guys, Ian here. Let me share to you my insight on the general state of the mental health of people in this time of global pandemic. But before I get into that, a quick disclaimer as well. Disclaimer after the disclaimer. These are just my personal takes in it. It's not the official stuff, so I highly recommend that you monitor the news. If ever that's the case, para na rin ma-double check din niyo. These are just basically my personal observations on what seems to be the mental health or the condition of the mental health of people during this period of the pandemic. It all started by the start of the year when everyone seemed not to care about the 2019 coronavirus disease, now known as the COVID-19 pandemic, because it hasn't reached in the pandemic status that it is right now. While some have prepared for the worst, many dismiss these preppers for over-exaggerating things. Now, the preppers are vindicated, and the majority of people are now resorted to hoarding in the days and weeks before the restrictions and the quarantines and the lockdowns. As the days pass, many resort to violence and evasion. If we focus on the Philippines alone, we can never unsee the sad reality most of our people are experiencing. But then again, nobody, and I mean nobody, liked this pandemic to happen. Unless, of course, you've been absolutely brainwashed that it's natural selection and those who don't cooperate will follow will face the consequences. But I digress. About the pandemic being used as a weapon, that's a story for another day. Unfortunately, these procedures resulted to alternative working schemes such as working from home and staying at work in exchange for free lodging. But not all can afford this. Not all can work from home. Because of this, some resort to crime, and most who do not want to cause trouble either lash out their frustrations in whatever they can or keep it to themselves. And fortunately, there are some who are diversifying their businesses. There are some who are creating sidelines, para lang may source of income pa rin sila kahit konti. So that's the fortunate thing. That's the positive side of it. Either way, it is very alarming to note that there have been an apparent rise in suicides and mental breakdowns due to the quarantine. If you remember, there was even a case of a blue versus blue incident where a Marawi veteran suffering from PTSD was shot to death by a police sergeant. And as of this recording, if I am not mistaken, that police officer has been charged with homicide, and I don't know how the hell is he gonna serve time for that. Emotions run very high these days thanks to the pandemic and the expiry of ABS-CBN's free-to-air frequency franchise just made all of this worse. While I try to make all of this as logical and objective as possible, I think tackling topics like this once in a while would prove helpful to stay that way. Besides, I have a real talk script lined up after this, so I'm taking this topic or this video as a little bit of a breather. Now, I think it is a common prediction that cases related to mental health will skyrocket once the plague is controlled. Basically, after a pandemic is another one, replacing an immunopulmonary sickness with a mental one. But unlike COVID, it already has a name and it has been existing for a while now. It might be called the cabin fever pandemic. While this will be inevitable, people have to know more of themselves and their mental idiosyncrasies and why mental health issues shouldn't define who they are. Na walang karapatan ang sino man na husgahan ng mga taong nagugulumihanan ang pag-iisip dahil totoo may pinagdadaanan sila. Alam ko insight to, pero real talk, hindi bobo, tanga at nag-iinarte ang mga may legit na mental health issues. So, I have to put it there. And that's the problem. Aside from the lack of mental health professionals, the whole Filipino culture of dismissing the whole damn thing and putting a stigma to those who really aren't okay with themselves hampers every effort to raise awareness. I'm not yet even mentioning that the legislation for this is not yet as implemented as it can be, and I'm talking about Republic Act 11306 or the Mental Health Act of 2018. The link to the PDF format of the law and its implementing rules and regulations, or IRR, are on the description below. But aside from the legal perspective, practical resources abound the global village of the internet. I often go to the YouTube channel Psych2Go for cathartic reasons, and or if I need to examine or re-examine my own mental health. Stopgaps and fillers would also help if ever government regulations are yet to be devised. I for my part look forward to be of help if needed once cabin fever becomes a pandemic, or sort of. If ever there are classes and programs, virtual not ones for now of course, that would offer psychological first aid training in the Philippine setting, please feel free to share them in the comments below. To conclude this video, I have no words to describe how mentally ill our country is. We are all forced to smile in one way or another because it is how others or how other nationalities see us. I mean, fair enough. At least we can make things lighter with a laugh sometimes. But behind the masks of laughter, we have to admit there are things inside us that we just can't remedy with comedy or just about anything. I don't want to dictate here, but whatever you do to release them that are effective would be great, as long as you don't hurt other people. That's the main caveat for that. Unlike medical conditions, mental illnesses are as unique as the soul that possesses that mind and its idiosyncrasies. There is no one cure or vaccine that would treat them because, as the name implies, it is a mental condition, not a physical one we can easily pinpoint. Sometimes the only thing we ask for is someone to talk to who would really listen and understand why we are who we are, someone's arms we can embrace to, or shoulder to cry on once the COVID pandemic dissipates. That's what the world needs right now. Facts and logic are still important, but discerning how to use them and why or why not they matter mentally is also a skill or trait we should all consider. It all boils down to discernment. It is painful, but like a bitter pill, it would help you a lot with knowing more of who you really are. And if you or someone you know are still watching at this point, I hope I can assure you that you will never be alone in your suffering. I myself have my inner demons I constantly fight every single day. I also hope that we will all get through this together while socially and physically distant. We will all weather all our storms, whether the pandemic or our own mental conditions. And with all that said, this is Ian reminding you that every enlightenment and every insight is worth it as we aim for knowledge and seek wisdom. And at all times, be the salt of the earth and the light of the world. Until then, let us continue to both flatten the curve and hope to and pray for things to get better. Stay safe, and I hope that this video um, would get you well. And again, you will never be alone. See you next time. Bye, guys.